John, in your book, You Inc., you say that anyone can succeed in real estate. Even in this environment, do you think someone can succeed?
I think so, Kevin. I think if you take the right approach, these are the best times of all, because a lot of your competitors drop off. A lot of people start fearing the economy and start focusing on things that are sort of, I think, irrelevant to them. Like, what did the Dow Jones do last night? What's happening? What's the headline in the newspapers? So I think these are actually better times than ever, albeit we're probably at the end of the GFC, to be honest, but I think right through the GFC, we've had an outstanding opportunity for people to grow their businesses, probably better than any other time in history.
Mindset's pretty important, isn't it? Do you think blocking out a lot of those external influences that really we can do nothing about anyway is a good way to go?
Yeah, mindsets is the key thing, positive attitude. So for whether you're an entrepreneur, a sales agent or a support person, your number one thing is to stay positive and just keep your mindset on the things that you can control. So my view is I actually block out all media that has a negative potential impact on me. I focus on things where I can control the input. I get a lot of information from Twitter, for example, because I subscribe to people. So my view is you've got to be very careful about what you let into your head. You watch the 6 o'clock news tonight, 30 stories, 29 negative stories. So you've got to ask yourself, is that the right way to condition your mind at the end of the day before you go to sleep? I think there are better ways.
John, what's your definition of success?
I think success is, it's got to be measured. I think most people today, Kevin, are better at it in a balanced fashion. So I think it's what makes you feel happy and delighted, and do you feel grows you? And if you're clear about that, and having a successful business, I mean, I'm all for success and the prosperity and the financial freedom it can bring people. I think that's real and that's important. It's certainly not the most important. I think, what's critical is health, what's critical is relationships, what's critical is a sense of contribution and connection. What's critical is making a difference. Now, a business can help you do all of those things, but you've got to be clear about what are the things that you really want to deliver in your life.
I often wonder, I walk into an office where someone's doing extremely well and someone sitting beside them, same opportunities, is really struggling. Why is that?
Well, I think, as we said before, it comes down to the individual and the individual's mindset. There's only two things that separate people, I think, two major things. One is their skill and one is their attitude. We often call it skill and will. So 0 to 10, what's your skill level? 0 to 10, what's your attitude level? You'll find the same person, the fact that they're sitting in the same brand, often working the same community with the same opportunities, and yet someone's bringing in $1 million in revenue for the business and someone's bringing in 100,000. If you were to interview them, the 100,000 person will start with excuses. Well, it's GFC, Kevin, haven't you heard about it? This is really tough, and I've got a small community, and I've just started in real estate. They'll have this proliferation of excuses as to why they're not. If you can get a chance to speak to the $1 million earner, but it's probably going to be hard because they're going to be focused and undistracted. But they're going to tell you, well, like a great opportunity, and I love helping people, and I work hard, and I've got a great organisation, I've got a great plan, I've got a great team, and I've developed my skills, and I'm ongoing learning, and every single day I'm filling my mind with positive. They're going to have a much better plan. So number one is get rid of your excuses. If you're not performing at a level that you know you could be or you should be, just drop the excuses and then start doing what the successful people are doing.
John, what suggestions would you have for someone who's in a slump? How can they get out of that?
Well, first thing, is remove negative influences. That can be people, that can be information, that can be input, that can be a whole range of things. So second thing is appreciate what we have. I mean, here we are living in the lucky country in what I think are fabulous times with more technology and more tools and the internet and things available to us than ever before to help us grow our business, grow ourselves. I mean, there used to be a time where you had to be wealthy to be well educated. Now you've just got to have an internet connection. And you can get onto YouTube and you get on the internet and you find any answer and interviews with famous people. So be appreciative, inspire yourself. I read quotes every day. I have apps on my phone that have little daily quotes. So it's do things that make you feel good, because I often wake up, not often, but occasionally I'll wake up and I've had a bad day yesterday and maybe my subconscious was working on overnight and I'm feeling a bit flat in the morning, and then I'll go onto Twitter and there'll be there'll be a quote there that talks about, the importance of, moving through challenges and getting to the other side and making you a better person. And that resets it in my mind, or shifts my paradigm back to where it should be. So I think you've got to inspire yourself. And the last one is not only remove negative people from your life, but include positive people. And sometimes you can do it face to face, occasionally if you know some people around you. Sometimes you can do it through things like your programs, audio programs, video programs, that are bringing you in touch with people. A lot of the people that I guess have in some ways mentored me, I've never met. but I've watched them. Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs, the example. I've watched video after video, I've read book after book, even though I never had the pleasure of meeting him. His philosophies were accessible to me, and I think that's really important. The philosophy and the teachings of great people are accessible to all of us.
John, I've heard you talk about an inbuilt success thermostat. What does that really mean? What does it mean to you?
So in essence, the success thermostat for me is you can achieve anything you want if you set your mind to it and you believe it. The problem is most people set something which is eminently achievable and it's not a great stretch because it's easy and because they, without stretching their belief system too much, they say, well, I can do 2 sales a month, no problem. Well, the problem is what if you could do 12 sales a month, but you never gave yourself the opportunity? So my question is, are you stretching yourself enough? Are you expecting enough? Because you will probably deliver what you set your subconscious as an expectation, not much more. So I'm all for, now, I'm not saying stretch it to a point where it's unbelievable for you. Can I run the 100 metres in 9 seconds? No, I can't. I don't believe that's a possibility. Could I be the world's best real estate salesperson or office? Yeah, I think I can. So, you've got to actually be able to connect with that. The problem is a lot of people have really they've down-traded there and they've shortchanged themselves so much on their goals. It's like turn up and you can hit it. That's not exciting for me. No wonder people burn out.
John, someone watching this right now, what steps can they take to improve their outcomes? What can they do right now?
Well, I think reality check of where you are and own your current reality. So don't say you're only doing 2 sales a month because the GFC. Just say you're only doing 2 sales a month because that's actually what you're doing in terms of your strategy, your energy, your skill level. So if you want to go to that next level, what are you going to do? Are you going to go and buy yourself a new suit, a new outfit? Are you going to get a business coach? Are you going to start joining the gym? Are you going to read a book a day? Are you going to start yoga or meditation? Are you going to start shadowing a great agent? What are the things? So build yourself a plan that works for you. Maybe you get to the office a half hour earlier and work a half hour later. Anything, most people out there, it's not, Kevin, the matter of can you do it? It's knowing what to do and then just doing it. Because all that stuff, I've just mentioned those things. If you started doing those tomorrow, you'd triple your sales in the next 12 months if you did them every day. But it's a matter of starting them.
Hello and welcome to another property news update. Here are the stories we're going to cover for you today. World first live Bitcoin property auction. You think our parking is expensive. Wait till we tell you about this one. Pools add value in the USA anyway, but we check out just how much. You might be surprised by this story too. Airbnb goes into hotel rentals. And imagine paying rent of $42,000 a week. My co-host Kieran Clair could possibly easily afford that, but I couldn't. Hey, and we've got a couple of asides for you today too. A passing thought, a last word, so to speak, on avocado on toast. Hasn't that had some traction? And also, we're going to show you the future of property videos. This will amaze you. Back in just a moment.
The real estate business is tough, and rising costs are making it harder to thrive. Did you know you can save up to 70% on your staff costs by outsourcing the low-value, repeatable tasks so your team can focus on growing your business? Beepo is an outsourcing provider focused on the real estate industry. With an English-speaking, tertiary qualified and fully trained team in the Philippines, Beepo will give your business the boost it needs to start growing and returning value to you. We can look after all of your low-value, repetitive administration work from our fully secure office. We provide comprehensive real estate-focused training and accreditation. The Beepo team is supervised by on-site management with finance industry standard security features. For more information, visit beepo.com.au.
And joining me is my co-host Kieran Clair from Bricks and Mortar Media. G'day, Kieran. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, Kevin. How are you, sir?
Mate, I'm fantastic. Got a good lineup of stories today.
Oh, who picked these? These are crackers.
I know, yes. Well, of course, the team here, we sort of, and you guys, we all help. We all help. Hey, I caught up with the auctioneer, James Pratt, who's going to be doing the auctions, the Bitcoin auction, which is our very first story, the world first live Bitcoin property auction.
I'm James Pratt. Join us on April the 8th for a world first in real estate. Set here in Australia, we're going to hold the very first live cryptocurrency real estate auction with a live auctioneer taking bids on the house. Now, how this is going to work, James Pratt Auctions will be handling the auction. Listing agent Nick Weatherith, who's going to join me here, he's handling the campaign leading up to the auction. Nick, tell us a little bit about the property.
Thanks, James. I'm very, very excited to present this home to market via auction. The striking new residence sets new benchmarks for design excellence and ultimate livability. I'd be so pleased to bring you through for a look, so contact either of us today.
Now, once we've had the auction, how do you actually pay in cryptocurrency? So this is introducing world first technology in the real estate space designed for cryptocurrency, Nguyen. Now, with me from Nguyen, we have the president and the vice president, Greg and Ryan, just to tell us a little bit about the process to expect post-auction.
Great, thank you, James. Nguyen Blockchain Corporation is really excited and proud to be hosting this world-first live Bitcoin property auction held at this prestigious home on April 8th at 11 a.m. One of Nguyen's pillars is its internal trading desk for institutional products and services, OTC transactions, and indeed luxury asset sales such as this. Once the sale has been completed, Nguyen's internal and secure exchange will then be responsible for facilitating the liquidation of the coins themselves and of course releasing them back to the market. We're really excited about this opportunity.
At Nguyen, we're a vertically integrated company where we mine, produce and facilitate gateways for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin to be used. It is quite exciting to be part of and creating the future of borderless transactions with properties.
So join us on April 8th. This is going to be the first time in the world accepting cryptocurrencies such as Binance Coin and Bitcoin. And with a live auctioneer is taking place. We can't wait to see you on April the 8th. Thank you very much on behalf of everyone. We look forward to you watching.
Okay, Kieran, April 8th, big question for you is, what do you understand about Bitcoin?
You see this postage stamp, Kevin?
Yeah, oh, that one.
I understand. It's one of those things. I remember blockchain itself coming up at a symposium we went to for the Australian Property Institute. Yeah. And it was one of those things where the entire room came out of the lecture knowing less than they seemed to going in. But it seems to be an element of finance and property which we're slowly chipping away at, the idea of blockchain and the cryptocurrency. Yeah. And probably some fair comments there around this kind of being the future of borderless and international purchasing, don't you think?
Yeah, look, I agree. I think there's something in this. We can't just ignore it and stick our heads in the sand. I spoke to James Pratt, who is the auctioneer, and in fact, I'm recording an interview with him that we'll put on our Tech Talk show the week of that auction, which I think is about the 3rd of April. The auction's on the 8th. That's a long-winded way of saying I'm doing an interview with him. But I'm just fascinated to work out how they're going to run the auction on Bitcoin. So we've got a couple of really good questions to ask him about, what's the deposit like? Because one of the big advantages in buying property with Bitcoin is that it's a secure transaction, so the settlement can happen very, very quickly, like within a matter of days.
Yeah,
It's a big advantage.
That's right, and that whole the whole mechanism behind the idea of transactions of Bitcoin and blockchain, which most people know, is this idea of there's multiple ledgers recording it out there in the cloud. So when you change one, it changes all the others and takes out a whole lot of middlemen. Makes it for a very interesting area that we're moving into, because we've talked about this sort of stuff. The use of Bitcoin and the use of this technology, removing a lot of the middlemen services that we see in the future, even the idea of in the banking sector and all the rest of it. It's just that it's not widely accepted yet. But neither was the internet when it kicked off. Mate.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, no, I think it's all about security too, and of course we're very concerned with security in the internet. But one thing blockchain does give us is a lot of security around that transaction, because it's almost impossible, I believe, to actually crack the code. But anyway.
That's right. Oh,
so
interesting to see how this goes. You notice that the owner of the house, Greg Costello, is also the president of the blockchain company that's doing the transaction.
Well, I could understand that. You really have to have a belief in this.
You would, yeah.
Because when you look at the property, and please go and have a look at it, it is spectacular. So there's going to be some pretty good bidding on this one. Hey, I want to remind you before we go to our next story that Real Estate Talk number 350. Yeah, we made it. 350.
Yeah,
how good's that?
Piece of cake.
When you think about one a week for 350 weeks, that's pretty good going, I reckon. Well done to all the team who put it together. And tomorrow when it comes out, a one-on-one approach to renovation. This interesting chat I had with the lady who's doing this, as opposed to getting everyone in a room and, you know, one size fits all, cookie cutter, all that kind of stuff. This one is a one-on-one approach. Tell you about that. A journey of discovery and learning. Women and children in need. This is a great story. This came out of the team at CoreLogic. They got behind a really wonderful cause, I think, and their whole team went out, or a group of their team went out and did some renovation on properties that are housing women and children in need, you know, like they're coming from disrupted families. So it's a great story. So we'll bring up that on that one. The industry gives back. Yeah, we've got a lot of giving in this.
You're just giving it away.
I know, just giving it all away.
Why not?
And what we can learn from Sydney's checkered past. And we're not talking about crime here. We're talking about the checkered property past. Hey, that is Real Estate Talk 350. It is out tomorrow. Don't miss it. Mate, let's go to story number 2, home and property. This one comes from, you think that our parking is expensive. The average cost of parking space is now more than £100,000 in London. That's to buy a park. And a lot of this is to do with, you know, in developments here, we see high-rise developments with lots of underground parking. In a lot of cases, adequate parking, but in some cases not. But in the UK and particularly London, it's very, very expensive to park.
Yeah, and imagine if you tried to go underground in London, you'd end up in the tube. So,
well, actually, you know, that might be a solution. Pump down to the tube. There could be tons of parking underground already, just waiting.
You've just got to time it right so the train doesn't run into you. 100,000.
Oh, that tube! I thought you were talking about the old tube, the one that's redundant.
No.
Isn't there? There's a whole lot of cities underneath.
Shelters. Yeah. There's a myriad of bomb shelters and probably old services and sewer drains down there that they could take advantage of. I don't know if I'd want to put my, you know, A-class Mercedes down there because, of course, that's the drive, isn't it, Kevin?
Yeah.
But, you know, that's almost $200,000 Australian. And it said in the capital, the average was getting up to £220,000. And then in places like Islington and Camden, £500,000. It's almost $1 million Australian.
Yeah.
To buy a car park. It's extraordinary cost, but I did a story many years back on the added value of car parking in Brisbane and Sydney, and Sydney prices aren't that far behind. They were cracking 120, I think, for a car park there. Yeah. But of course, if you could rent it out in that location, you could probably make somewhere between 8 and 12% gross on it. As a yield. So it actually, as an investment, wasn't too bad to buy it, as long as you know, stick with the fundamentals, like we always say. But
that's right. Stick with the fundamentals. You can't go wrong. That's okay. Right. Take you on to story number 3. This one comes from the World Property Journal. Pools add value in the USA, but how much? According to Redfin, which is a reputable company in the States, Los Angeles homes with pools can sell for almost $100,000. That'd be US dollars. More than comparable homes without them. Okay, Redfin, I accept what you say. I'd love to see the methodology behind that, because that's not my experience. Quite often, pools can stop a sale.
Yeah, that's right. The Redfin analysis looked at comparing homes because it was on square foot, dollars per square foot, and they compared homes on that basis, homes with pools versus homes without pools. So there's a whole lot of factors that would go into the value of a home. I can tell you from experience.
Yeah, well, you're a registered valuer. I would have thought that doing it on square footage rates like that, you'd be comparing apples with oranges because of the cost of construction, more expensive homes with pools. I know that's an irrational thought, but that's the third pattern that I go through.
No, that's totally logical, and I think that the idea of pools is are specific to location. So in LA, of course, it's very hot, and people spend a lot of time outside. They're going to expect a pool. I can recall years ago when I used to value out in the Western Corridor of Brisbane, and the Red Bank Plains area was known for sort of mine subsidence and shifting black soils.
That's right.
If you sold a house with a pool in it, you had to sell it for less, because they eventually came up with some sort of structural defect in the pool. People in that demographic weren't interested in paying on cost of maintenance and paying for running a pump and a heater and all the rest of it. So there were a few sort of track homes out there that had pools put in that were reselling for less a few years down the track because buyers just weren't interested. So
yeah, well, over the years we've had a number of homes. We've moved quite often actually, and we've actually put 2 pools in over that time, and I've since gone back, and one of them that I know of, because I was able to get in and have a look at, they actually filled the pool in shortly after they bought it, and that pool was very, very expensive. We enjoyed it when the kids were growing up, but the people who bought it from us didn't have any children, probably didn't have any kids coming over, so they just simply filled the pool in. And I've seen a lot of people do that, and surprisingly in Queensland too, where you'd think that a lot of homes, need pools because of the climate, which is what you said.
Yeah, look, I'd probably just, finish off by saying, from a valuer's point of view, one of the top 5 questions you get when you rock into a house is, we're thinking of adding a pool. Will it add value to the home?
Or how much value will it add?
How much will it add? The usual response you gave is probably not as much as it will cost for you to put it in.
That's right.
But if you're going to live here for 20 years and you want one, get one.
That's exactly the answer, mate. You put a pool in not to get capital value, but to actually improve your lifestyle. That's basically what it's about.
We fixed it. We fixed everything.
We've sorted all the problems out. All the pool builders in the world now hate us, but hey, that's life, isn't it? We're going to come back with stories 4 and 5 and a bit of a surprise for you too before the end of the show, so stick around for that in just a moment. Take a quick break. Back in a minute. Hello and welcome back to the show. Let's move to story number 4. This one comes from The National. This is a new publication. I hadn't seen this one before. Airbnb goes into hotel rentals. The reason I chose this story was because we've seen Airbnb as like home renting. But this here we're talking about a full hotel. Quite interesting that but this is an app that they've actually bought into.
Yeah, that's right. Hotels Tonight is an app that's designed to do sort of that last-minute hotel rooms for people looking for a discount. One of those things that often business travelers take advantage of. They've got to be somewhere, they've got to stay somewhere, and they're looking for somewhere cheap and central to stay. And Airbnb have come up trumps as the buyers of this site, valued at $463 million.
It's probably a natural fit too when you think about it. It was a natural progression for Airbnb to do this, but I guess it's another one of those players on that market, isn't it? That short stay market.
So yeah, Airbnb talk about that idea of becoming a real end-to-end supplier of this of accommodation. They're going into, I believe from the story, they're going into things like organising tours and trips, like stepping outside of just that, home stay, short stay owner makes a side income type of business. And when they float, I love big numbers. They're talking about the IPO for Airbnb coming out at it's valued at about $31 billion. So when it hits the stock market. And so obviously this sort of element is a good fit. I remember a few years ago doing a story on Airbnb, and they were sort of saying that, Airbnb within its first 5 years was selling more beds than I think it was the Hyatt, the Hilton and the Sheraton combined,
yeah.
Which has been around for, decades to centuries. So, talk about disruptor. As much as I hate the term, talk about disruptor. You've got a business like this.
It's an interesting model, because the Uber story is another, in the same vein. I don't know if you saw the Four Corners story on Uber this week. I think it was Sunday night or whenever Four Corners comes out. Interesting how they too have moved into different models. The Uber, Uber Eats. I think they're looking at Uber accommodation. They're looking at a whole raft of Ubers. It's a bit like Airbnb. So these models, although I've got to say Uber still has not yet turned a profit. I don't know if you know that. It's still losing billions of dollars, and all the investors have gained nothing out of it to this point. But when you think about it, the models there, they've got tremendous market share already. All they need to do is tweak their rates just a little bit, and they all of a sudden become very, very profitable. So we've got to watch these disruptors. Easy to dismiss them, but there's a lot of power in them, I think. And, we're seeing a lot of new startups now that are, the failure of startups is falling because these new models are becoming much more successful much quicker.
Yeah, well, look, the first people to blaze the path often run into a few hurdles, wasn't it? I think it was Zuckerberg that said something like the business model is run fast and break stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
So, we've probably found they've broken a few things, and the businesses coming in behind them are getting to take advantage of all of that. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to take you to story number 5. This one comes from News Limited. Imagine paying rent of $42,000 a week. Now, who would do this? Well, I can tell you. Sports stars, celebrities, the mega rich, they're all boasting the rise in short-term stays, particularly in Australia, where rents can go up to $42,000 a week. What do you get for 42 grand? Oh, here you go. We got a costume on.
If I had my dark, I was looking for my dark shades. I was going to put them on for you. Yeah. Oh, here we go. 42,000 a week. Yeah, I reckon I could do 42,000 a week.
There's one thing missing. When you smile is the gleam of your golden tooth.
Maybe production?
Yeah, we could. There you go. It's amazing though. When you look at the article, it's some of the accommodation. And look, I can understand if you've got the money and you want to have a nice week or two in a great location with a tremendous pad and have all your friends over. Well, you probably would pay that.
Well, when you look at the sort of service that you're going to get for that kind of money, and you're paying for it, so someone's going to front up and do it. I loved this story just because of the collection of. It's like looking at the writers for great rock bands. Only take every smarty, but take out the brown ones. What was some of the stuff there? People Steinway pianos, blah blah blah. There was someone about refurnishing the home so that it will match the guest's home.
I didn't see that. Is that right?
Yeah, it was incredible. And the guy who wanted a single croissant personally collected and delivered from Melbourne's Loon Cafe to his doorstep every morning at 6 a.m.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, this is what 42,000 a week will buy you, Kevin. Yeah. Don't you think that's fantastic?
Well, yeah, it would be, but I think you'd probably become a bit obsessed with that sort of stuff, wouldn't you? You would lose touch with reality.
You do. There was another. I mean, if people read that story, it's a cracker. All of the stuff at the bottom. There was another one there that they were talking to the concierge that comes with this, because it's through the website and you get a concierge with you, and he was saying that there was planned power outages. So there was a power outage from one of the state electricity suppliers, and the guests' people were very upset that the power was going to go off and registered their strongest complaint with the concierge that something should be done about this. And, the diplomat sort of said, so we made sure everyone was, obviously that was something we couldn't address, getting the state power grid back up. Yeah. We made sure everyone was comfortable. We got over the hurdle. The sports star celebrity who was staying there slept through the whole thing. Yeah. Didn't even notice.
Couldn't care less. Yeah. Imagine interviewing that one of those concierges and asking them about some of those weird stories. Whether they wouldn't tell you who they were, but they'd have some great stories to tell. That's for sure, wouldn't they?
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Did you ever think you'd have a special request, Kevin, if you had the money and the means and the inclination?
Yeah, I think just leave me alone for a little while. I just want to have a rest. That would do me.
I was going to say, peace and quiet.
Yeah, just leave me alone. Yeah, I'm quite happy. Just give me a book, maybe a glass of wine, and I'll be right.
I'll tell you what, 42 grand a week, come over to my place. I'll make that happen.
Oh, you got me, son. I'll be over in a few minutes. Hey, I want to, before we go in today's shows, a couple of stories that we're not going to feature as stories, but they're well worth our while talking about. And aside, just a last word for you. We've all heard a lot about those pricey open-faced avocado sandwiches, you know, all the criticism around young people having smashed avocado for breakfast and coffee and spending a huge amount of money. Pull that all into perspective. You know, if you were to cut out on avocado or smashed avocado, how long would it take you? I know that you know the answer to this because I gave it to you. How long would it take you to save up for a home?
Well, for a home deposit would take a decade.
A decade.
10 years of not eating avocado on toast.
Every day.
Every single day.
Every single day for 10 years.
Every single day for 10 years. And then the market's moved. So in 10 years, the market's gone up.
Yeah, so the word is everything in moderation. Go and have your smashed avocado and enjoy it, because you can't sacrifice too much. Sacrifice the big things, not the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Do we? Do we ever? We don't.
We don't. Hey, I want to show you a special video now, and we're going to roll this because this is the second part of an aside or a little takeaway for the end of the day.
The coda. The coda.
So what did we learn from that one, Kieran?
They're wonderful. They're perfect family.
Yeah, they should call them the Brady Bunch, I reckon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Great. Where did they get those people?
I know. Well, look, if you're looking at that video, and go back and watch it again, because if you're watching that video and say, oh, isn't that a lovely family? You know, they're so happy. They're having wine together. He's sitting in a study that's got no paper on the desk. What a beautiful life. And you know why it's a beautiful life and such a lovely family? Because they're not a family. They're all actors. But the difference here is that this is the future, because so often we see these videos by agents, and they do work. I can tell you, they really do work. Mm-hmm. But they're all empty rooms in a lot of cases, or there might be furniture, and there's the thing that's not there is people, unless it's the real estate agent spruiking about the property and trying to make a goose of himself by jumping on a crocodile or something along those lines. But this one, it actually shows you how you would live in the home, and I quite like the concept, actually.
Yeah, I did too, and I was taken by the office, the empty office as well.
Yeah,
and also the kids quietly reading in the corner and one practicing.
Yeah, that happens in your house, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what it's like here all the time, Kevin.
Yeah.
You know, it also reminded me too, back in my Courier Mail days, I did a story on a video that a Brisbane agent had brought out, and she was selling a bachelor pad style unit.
Yeah.
And she got the owner and one of the owner's friends to do a similar thing, but it was a bachelor unit. So it was a bit saucy. Like they had them waking up in bed with disheveled hair and sort of reading slightly risque literature and having a bubble bath and all the rest of it. And the culmination of the video was this agent who was, immaculately presented, kind of sitting on the edge of the bath as this couple shared a champagne, and then she kind of fell into the bath with them.
Oh, she. It wasn't a he. It was a she. Yeah.
It was a she. It was very very funny. It was very tongue in cheek, slightly risque. But we did a story on it that got thousands of hits.
But did it sell the property? Did it sell the property?
The property sold, and I don't know if they got extra for it, but it certainly got plenty of attention. And I guess that's the idea of these videos, is that you want to grab attention, because there's a lot of competition for eyes in this space. Yeah,
no, I think it's great. You will actually add to the cost of producing the video, because this one was obviously a high level video. They don't have to cost a lot, but if you add actors into this scene, they've got to be paid a certain wage, so therefore it does actually lift the value or the cost of doing it. But hey, good on her. I reckon a great move by the agent. There you go.
Yeah.
We are going to leave it there. Thank you so much again, Kieran, Claire. Great selection of stories. Thanks to Bricks and Mortar Media, and of course our executive editor, Stephen Charry, who works tirelessly to bring all this together. So thanks to all those guys, and thank you to you, Kieran, Claire. Mate, I'll see you again real soon.
Cheers to you too, Kevin. Thank you.
And we will see you. Don't forget, RET show, Real Estate Talk Show number 350 is out tomorrow. Check the website and all that and a whole heap of other content too on propertytv.io. See you next time.